Yo guys, what is up? Max for Diablo 4 video, and today we're going over my updated Poison Shred build for the Abattoir of Zir. Now, they just rolled out a hotfix that basically nerfed Abattoir of Zir. It nerfed the Bloodseekers, it nerfed all of the tiers below 10, and reduced enemy damage through all of the tiers. And I have yet to try this build out against this nerfed content. However, I already recorded this gameplay and stuff with the harder content. So obviously, just keep in mind that all of the footage is basically going to look even better now once this build, once we play against the nerf content. But I just wanted to get this build out now and showcase what we're doing and what I've changed on the Druid so that you can implement it for your own gameplay. So the Druid build I posted originally with the Crone Staff was really great and comfortable for getting me through Abattoir of Zir. However, it kind of capped out in damage. When we put on the Crone Staff, we got a lot of quality of life, we got a lot of survivability. I could kind of face tank some of the Bloodseekers. However, I got to the point where I just couldn't finish a run in time because I wasn't clearing enemies fast enough. I just didn't have enough damage, and part of the reason for that is because the glyph is heavily nerfed. The multiplier that we're getting from the glyph now is way less than what we thought it was going to be. Originally, they launched the glyph as additive, and apparently that was intentional. And then when they made it multiplicative, they significantly nerfed it. And so we weren't getting as much damage from the glyph as I thought we were going to be. And so what's happened is I've now built Poison Shred to be more of a high damage build, which means we're going back to the two-hander Blurred Beast, and we're not using Overpower on this version. We're not going to be using Overpower at all. I just don't think it's reliable enough. And with this version of our Poison Shred, we can do a tier 10 with about 4 minutes remaining. However, the Bloodseekers are an issue. So far, I found that dealing with the Bloodseekers is pretty heavily reliant on getting a Shrine Effect. If you don't have any Shrine Effect, it's almost kind of like GG's, but if you can get a Shrine Effect, you're pretty much good to go. But with them changing the Bloodseekers, they're nerfing them, and we're going to be taking a lot less damage. I think this build is going to be excelling in the Abattoir of Zir. Right now, showing on screen is a tier 12, and I'm going to slow down this clip just to see, or for you to see how much damage this build is pumping out. We are constantly shredding for hundreds of millions of damage, and I really think that Poison Shred is the only Druid build that honestly has a chance of pushing into these higher tiers past tier 10. To be honest, they've now nerfed everything below tier 10, so that should all be easier for the other builds. But Poison Shred really seems to have the most burst damage, in my opinion, and so that is why I think it is the best build for the Abattoir of Zir. Now let's go over some of the changes I've made to it. So one of the big changes with the build is we're playing a reversed version of my Shred-Splosion build. Now, if you're familiar with Shred-Splosion, it was a build I made in Season 1, where we would combine Shred as a movement skill and Bulwark as a skill that was dealing massive explosive damage, but it was a little bit awkward to hit enemies with because you had to get close to them. So I'd use Shred to get close to those enemies, and then Bulwark would do the explosion. Now, Bulwark isn't doing any damage, however, its defenses that it gives us is still great, and the tech that made that build still works. So what we're doing is we're combining Poison Shred with Lightning Shred as our big damage and our AoE clear, and then we're also using Bulwark and the tech from the Shred-Splosion build to constantly give us Bulwarks, which gives us a ton of survivability. Now, I was originally using Debilitating Roar with the Hunter Zenith Ring, which I think is great, and it's a ton of survivability, but it's not super consistent. Sometimes you get hit by an enemy, or an enemy walks onto screen that didn't get hit by the Debilitating Roar, and then they do a ton of damage. Sometimes you can't get a kill, and then you can't proc Debilitating Roar, or you go, Debilitating Roar goes on a 20-second cooldown, and when we're on a timer, we just don't have time to wait for Debilitating Roar to really come back, and so that's why we're introducing Nature's Fury with Bulwark to give us a ton of extra survivability and quality of life to the build. We just have survivability uptime that feels a lot better and more consistent than we did with the Debilitating Roar. We're also adding the Stormclaw aspect, a pinnacle of the Lightning Shred variant of Shred, which gives our critical strikes with Shred AoE lightning damage. This is massively improved my clear speed, especially when pack density is so strong, and when we're hitting 100 million shreds, this is hitting for upwards of 30 to 40 million damage. So this is doing really nice damage for us, as well as improving our clear speed. And then for the defenses on the build, I'm currently at 20,000 life. I've got 10,000 armor in human form and 16,000 armor in werewolf form. So plenty of armor. We've got tons of damage reduction, and we're survivable for most content besides one-shot things. So I haven't, once again, tested this build with the damage changes and enemies dealing less damage and explosions dealing less damage, but I found that if I got hit by a ground effect or an explosive enemy, it could one-shot me. But even when I was putting on like full DR pants and full DR gear, I was still getting one-shot by those effects. So we are actually going to be using Tibalt's Will on this build. Tibalt's Will is a ton of extra damage because, once again, we double dip this 40% damage multiplier, and Bulwark gives us Unstoppable. So we don't need to rely on Metamorphosis to give us Unstoppable. We're just constantly unstoppable, so we're never getting crowd controlled, and we're also keeping up our resource at all times and also giving us massive damage multipliers. So we're dashing around, we're bullwhicking around, and we've always got spirit, we've always got high damage, and then we're relying on our health and defenses for our like other survivability. For my gear, real quick, I'm using Andariel's Visage. This is a must-have, amazing poison uptime. This version of Poison Shred really needs Andariel's Visage because we're not going to be resetting Creeper as much as we were with the Crone Staff, so we really need the poison uptime of Andariel's. We're using a chest piece with a lot of damage reduction and armor. I could technically take off the Disobedience here and use something like damage reduction while shapeshifted. However, I like the Disobedience to get my armor up while I'm in human form so that I don't get one shot whenever I cast my Poison Creeper. I'm using the Gloves of Stampede with attack speed, crit chance, lucky hit, shred with my companions, deal more damage, still scaling our Poison Creeper damage. I've got Tibalt's Will on, once again, gives us a ton of extra damage. Damage is really what seems to like slow us down on the harder tiers. It's not that like we can't do them, it's that we can't do them in time. And so more damage is really great. For our boots, movement speed, double res, and the armor while in werewolf form. And then we're adding the when the Nature's Fury key passive triggers a free skill, your non-ultimate cooldowns of the opposite type are reduced by 5 seconds. What this allows me to do is pair that with the loop of Nature's Savagery. Werewolf skills function as Storm skills, and Werebear skills function as Earth skills for the Nature's Fury key passive. I know this may sound confusing, but basically what it means is that when I cast Shred, Shred now counts as a Werewolf skill or a Storm skill for Nature's Fury, which will give me cooldown of Earth skills or Werebear skills. So what this means is every time that I cast Shred, I can proc this, and then I get cooldown for Earth and Bulwark. So every time that we're casting Shred, which we have casting really fast, we're scaling attack speed, I have a 30% chance to get 5 seconds off my cooldown of Earth and Bulwark, which is on a 16-second cooldown. We're proccing this pretty quickly. We keep Earth and Bulwark up 100% of the time. On our weapon, I've got all stats, willpower, vulnerable damage, and damage to poisoned enemies. I prefer the vulnerable damage to be damage to close, but this is pretty perfect. And then with the Blurred Beast on the weapon, we're using the Shepherd aspect on our amulet with total armor, armor while in werewolf form, percent increase to our willpower, and ranks of envenom. Plus ranks of companions would have been a little bit better for me, honestly, than the willpower, but willpower is great here. And then I can't find a max roll Shepherd, so I'm missing out on like 27% increased multiplicative damage by not having a max roll here, so we could be doing even more damage. Then on your rings, you're really looking for crit chance, max life, and lucky hit. I don't have that on either of my rings. This one's got max life and lucky hit, but no crit chance. This one's got crit chance and max life, but no lucky hit. And then poison damage or damage to close is really great as a damage stat on your ring. But we have plenty of damage. You're really looking for like quality of life, which is crit chance, max life, and lucky hit, so that we can proc Andariel's and reset our creeper more often. For our vampiric powers, I'm using Undying with Resilience, which is another way to get extra damage reduction. I've found that this is really nice when we use the Debalts because we're losing some DR, so this kind of makes up for that DR. We're using Ravenous. Ravenous is going to give us that attack speed that we need to reset our Bulwark with. We're pairing that with Flowing Veins for more dot damage and Metamorphosis. We could technically take off Metamorphosis, however, I do like using it to inflict Vampiric Curse on enemies. and then we're just kind of dashing around. We always have this up, and then Flowing Veins. Those enemies take more damage when they're cursed. And also Metamorphosis has the 100% lucky hit chance with Endarials, so that when we dash into a pack, we are basically guaranteeing ourselves poison on them if there's multiple enemies that we're hitting. And then for like the spirit boons and my like skill tree and Paragon board, I'm just gonna leave that in the max roll planner if you want to take a look, just because trying to keep this video short. And once again, I'm still kind of making some tweaks to the build, and any kind of changes that I make will be updated in that planner. Guys, that's gonna do it for the video. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you're still playing Abattoir of Zir. I feel like it's killed a lot of people's motivation to play the game. I'm gonna be honest, it's kind of hurt my motivation as well, just because I don't really find the content all that fun. And I will be returning for the like winter seasonal content that's coming out that does look pretty cool. They earned some new cosmetics. But yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Peace.